Hello, dear students. Very good morning. I am Vaibhav Shah, and we are discussing chapter number 2nd of subject economics, and the name of the chapter is Fundamental Concepts and Terminology. And today, this is our lecture number 7th. So, in last lecture, we discussed about meaning and characteristics of wealth. Today, in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the types of wealth, and then we'll move forward towards the concept of welfare and relationship between wealth and welfare. So as we all knows that wealth means something which is scarce, useful and capable of exchange and owned by someone is called wealth. And in that we have already discussed 5 different characteristics of wealth, and today we are going to discuss or start with the types of wealth. One thing I want to clear here is that you have to practice all this subject, whether it is economics or organization of commerce or English, in a properly manner, because in standard 12th, that is in board examination, they are focusing on textbook language only. It means own language will not be acceptable at all. Yes, you may write at least 90% of the accuracy which is matched with the textbook language, but not less than that. It means here every day you have to write all these questions which are discussed by us in different lectures. So if today we are discussing the types of wealth and welfare, then first of all, you have to write both this question in either your rough book or in fair book, because the writing practice is must for any of the examination in standard 11th and 12th, whether it is internal exams or final exams, same way in 12th also. So writing practice is must, and you have to work hard for write each and everything. Now let us start with the subject. Types of wealth. Wealth can be classified as individual wealth and social wealth, and second one is national wealth and international wealth. So basically the classification is on 2 categories, but the total types of wealth is of 4 types. First one is a individual wealth, second one is a social wealth, third one is a national wealth, and fourth one is a international wealth. Now let us start discussing about the individual wealth and social wealth. So whenever this word comes to our mind, we will think that what is individual wealth and what is social wealth. But one thing is very clear into our mind, that whatever the wealth of a person, and there is the applicability of excluding and competitiveness is there, then that kind of wealth is a individual wealth. And whenever the wealth is belongs to the whole society or a nation, or a combined or a collective ownership is there, then it is called social wealth. Now let us discuss what is given here in textbook. Wealth under the ownership of an individual and meant for private consumption is called individual wealth. For example, a house. So first of all, the meaning of individual wealth is given here. Wealth under the ownership of an individual. It means the ownership right or the possession of that particular wealth in the single hand, or we can say of an individual. And meant for private consumption. It means he can use it, he can purchase it, he can use it, or he can destroy it. In any of the ways, the consumption of that particular good or that particular wealth is lies to that particular person only, then it is called individual wealth. For example, a house. Let us take another example. If I am having my own vehicle, then it is for my personal consumption. I may use it any way I wish or I deemed it fit, so it becomes an individual wealth. So here we are having two examples. First one is a house where it is in the ownership of a person and he can allow others to use it or exclude others from using that particular house. Same way in vehicle, in private, different kind of properties and ornaments also, we are having the same type of wealth. Now let us check the another side, that is wealth under the ownership of society and meant for collective consumption is called social wealth. For example, dam. Now this concept is totally contrary to individual wealth, because in individual wealth the ownership and the consumption will be under the single owner, or we can say it is the responsibility or ownership or possession of a single person. While in a social wealth, wealth under the ownership of society, it means society means all those who are living in that particular area, or all those who are paying for it or not paying for it but are getting the benefit, then it is called society. And meant for collective consumption. So here there is no applicability of excludability, because we cannot exclude anyone by using this particular social wealth. And the collective consumption is there, it means many of the people can consume it or use it together or at a time, then it is called societal wealth. For example, dam, because the availability of water in a dam can be used for many purposes and can be used by each and everyone. That is, it can be used for agriculture purpose, for industrial purpose only, for household purpose, for cattle rearing purpose, and so many purposes are associated with this. Same way, let us take another example, a road. Road is also a society's ownership where anyone can use it and there is no excludability except in the case of private ownership roads. So the wealth under the ownership of an individual and meant for private consumption is called individual wealth, while the wealth under the ownership of society and meant for collective consumption is called societal wealth or social wealth. I hope both of this point is clear in your mind. Now let us move towards the second point, that is national wealth and international wealth. Here also in this category we are having two types of wealth. So let us start discussing about it. Wealth belonging to a nation and possessed and treasured by a nation is called national wealth. It helps to generate exchange value directly or indirectly for a nation. For example, rivers, mountains, literature and scriptures, etc. So, as the name suggests, national wealth is a wealth of a particular nation and they are possessing it, and it is a one kind of treasury, or we can say it is a treasured by a nation, is called national wealth. It is belonging to one nation only, and all the benefit which accrues by using it or by let it on rent, the benefit will be accrues to the nation only. Wealth belonging to a nation. So every nation has their own different and unique characteristics. They are having their own wealth. Like if we are talking about the seven wonders of the world, then it is also the one kind of a wealth for that particular nations. And possessed, so the possession of that particular wealth is also of that government or that nation, and treasured by nation is called national wealth. Sometimes it may happen that some of the goods or some of the buildings are of a heritage nature, or we can say they are ancient and antique nature. So instead of exchanging that particular goods, because whenever we are talking about this particular things or discussing regarding this wealth, the question comes to our mind that how it can be exchanged, how we can exchange the Taj Mahal with any meal, how we can exchange a Red Fort. But it is the ownership of the government where government allowed others to just watch it or to get a benefit or to enjoy it, and from that particular person they are charging some of the fees, like as we are having different kind of museums also where they are charging the fees for watching that museum or enjoying all the items of the museum in it. So if there is a exclusive right to get a fees or to charge a fees, then it is also termed as a national wealth. It helps to generate exchange value. So it is not necessary that we can exchange the goods, but it helps to get generate exchange value. It means we can generate exchange value directly or indirectly. If the government is charging a fees, then it generates a exchange value directly. But if by any other means government is having the benefit of it, then it is called indirect wealth or indirect exchange value for a nation. For example, rivers, like we are having different rivers in our country, and sometimes a single river can be used by more than one country, and we are charging some of the fees for using the water of that particular rivers. Then mountains, like we are having Himalayas and all, so it is one of the wealth of a nation. Literature, we are having very ancient literature in our Indian economy because we are decades or we can say age old citizens, and we are having different kinds of literatures and scriptures also that are the national wealth, and only the government of India is having the exclusive rights on this particular wealth. Next one, and the second type of this category, is international wealth. International wealth is that wealth which is owned by one nation but belongs to the whole world and can be shared by several nations. So here this type of wealth is not restricted to a particular nation or a country, but it is that wealth which is not owned by one nation. It means it belongs to more than one nation, to the world, whole world, and can be shared by several nations. Like some of the examples which are not given here in this textbook, but let us discuss it. First of all, different kind of oceans, whether it is Pacific Ocean or any other ocean which belongs to more than one country. Another example is a forest like Amazon forest, which belongs to more than 7 countries of the world. So their ownership is collectively of these countries, and they may enjoy the benefit of this particular land or this particular ocean either equitably or unequitable, but it is not belongs to a single nation, and that's why it is called the international wealth. So here we conclude this point number 2.6, that is types of wealth, in which we have discussed individual wealth, that is belongs to ownership of an individual and meant for private consumption. Secondly, social wealth, which is the wealth under the ownership of society and meant for collective consumption. Then national wealth, that wealth belongs to a nation and possessed by a nation is called national wealth, while international wealth means that can be enjoyed by whole world and shared by several nations. Now let us move forward and discuss the second point of this particular topic, because as we have started from point number 2, that is, it is the wealth and welfare of a nation. But till the day or till the lecture we have discussed only about the wealth. Now let us start something about welfare also. Welfare means enhancement of life situations, standard of living, and overall state of improvement. Line this statement, because if it may be asked in a one line, then you have to write this particular statement that wealth means enhancement of life situation. It means whatever living standard we are living today, if there is increment in it and we if we are able to use more goods than today we are using, or we are having a more comfort and luxurious life, then it is the enhancement of life situation. Standard of living, it means where our standard of living is as per the societal norms or as per the society, or we can say there is an improvement in the standard of living where we are living a better and comfortable life, and overall state of improvement. This kind of improvement is not belongs to a single citizen or a single region or a single society, but it is an overall state of improvement which is applicable to the whole nation. Then it is called welfare. The concept of welfare is used by all philosophies from spiritual sciences to economy. So it is age old concept, and the concept is used by all the philosophies, like starting from spiritual science to economics. In all these particular disciplines, they are using the concept of welfare. Now let us move forward. The next page, that is page number 19. All human activities, economic and non-economic, are ultimately done with the purpose of improvement of life. Welfare can be measured quantitatively in the context of growth and qualitatively in the context of development. All human activities, whether it is economic or non-economic, the concepts regarding economic activities and non-economic activities we have already discussed, are ultimately done with the purpose of improvement of life. Economic activities can be done for the purpose of earning a livelihood, while non-economic activities are done for the purpose of inner peace, or we can say for the enjoyment. But both of these activities, whether it is economic or non-economic, are ultimately done with the purpose of improvement of life. Because in economic activities we are getting a monetary benefit, and that will be helpful in the betterment of our life. Welfare can be measured quantitatively and qualitatively both. But when it is measured in a quantitatively, it is measured in the context of growth, and when it is measured on a qualitatively, then it is measured as a development. The concept of economic growth and economic development is there in standard 12 chapter number 2. The whole chapter is focusing on these two particular concepts, that is economic growth and economic development. Now let us move forward. In economics, subject of welfare can be studied as individual welfare and collective welfare, same as we have discussed in terms of wealth, that is individual wealth and societal wealth. Here also the subject of welfare can be studied as individual welfare and secondly collective welfare. Now amongst that, let us discuss the first one, that is individual welfare. When an individual seeks to make efforts to improve her or his standard of living and well-being, it becomes a subject of individual welfare. So it is also related to a single individual or a single person. When an individual seeks to make efforts to improve her or his standard of living, it means if there is a growth in an income level of a particular person, then his standard of living will be improved. If there is a growth in the wealth of a particular person, then also his or her standard of living will improve, and it may result into well-being. So it becomes a subject of individual welfare when we are talking about a single person and his or her standard of living. But when nations and governments seeks to improve growth, development, etc., it becomes a subject matter of collective welfare. So here, when we are talking about the whole nations or the government that is trying to improve the growth and development of the whole country, then it becomes a subject matter of collective welfare. So it is clear over here that when we are talking about the standard of living and well-being of a particular person, and if he is trying to increase it, then it is the subject of individual welfare. But when the nation or government seeks to improve the growth and development of the whole country, it becomes the subject matter of collective welfare, and it will be studied under the head of collective welfare itself. Now let us move forward. The last point of that particular topic is the relationship between wealth and welfare, because after this particular topic we are moving forward towards the factors of production. But before that, let us discuss the relationship between wealth and welfare. Generally, when wealth increases, welfare increases, as more wealth means higher capacity to generate monetary value, greater power to exchange goods or purchasing power for the owner, and hence greater well-being. This is largely true in case of individual. So here it is given the first relationship between wealth and welfare. Generally, when wealth increases, as we discussed that wealth means which is useful, scarce and capable of exchange. So when wealth increases, it means you are having more money. People is now able to purchase more of the comfortable and luxurious goods, and that increases his welfare also. So generally when wealth increases in terms of money or other assets, welfare increases, because more wealth means higher capacity to generate monetary value. Sometimes it may happen that if your monetary income will be reduced, then also you may use your wealth for exchange it, and in exchange of that particular good you may have the next standard of living or improved standard of living. So more wealth means higher capacity to generate monetary value, because when I am having more number of factories, more number of premises under my ownership, then I will be able to generate more monetary income. Greater power to exchange goods or purchase goods, it means now I am able to producing majority number or more number of products, and I am having a power to exchange these goods or purchasing power. That means if my monetary income is higher, then I am able to purchase more number of goods, and that will be of my beneficial, and that increases the welfare of the person for the owner, and hence greater well-being. Like say for example, in the initial stage of life, when the person is surviving or is struggling, then he will be having the basic necessities of life. His monetary income not that much enough that he can afford or purchase some kind of comfortable or luxurious goods. But when once his necessities will be his necessities will be covered under his monetary income, and if from any other means, if monetary income is increasing day by day or month by month, then now he will be able to purchase more comfortable and luxurious goods, and it may result into the welfare of that particular individual. Like in the initial stage of life, he is not having any kind of vehicles under his ownership, so he is going by walk wherever he wants to go. But after some monetary income, now he is able to purchase a bicycle, which increases his speed. Then after some more years he will be able to purchase a scooter. So it increases his welfare, because the wealth increases, that results into welfare. And after some more years he will be able to purchase a car also. So more wealth means more welfare, and this is largely true in case of individuals, because we are seeing so many individuals who pass through these stages of the life. Now second paragraph. But when the wealth of a nation increases, it is the talk of an individual wealth, but when the wealth of a nation increases in the form of national income, the welfare of people will increase only if this national income is equitably distributed among all sections of the society and among all sectors. Besides, a nation's welfare also depends upon social and cultural formation, and hence there is not always a direct relation between wealth and welfare in a society. So here we are having two contradictory, or we can say two contrary examples or relationship between wealth and welfare. It is largely true in a case of individual that more wealth means more welfare. But the same thing is not always true in the case of a nation or international level. And why is it so? So let us discuss this point. But when the wealth of a nation increases in the form of national income, the wealth of a nation can be measured with the help of national income, and if there is a steady growth in the national income, then the welfare of people will increase only if this national income is equitably distributed among all sections of the society. It means only the increment of a national income is not enough to increase your wealth or welfare. If the national income of a country is increasing, then it is the wealth of a nation. But when there will be the equitable distribution of this national income to all the sections of the society according to the need of the society, then and then it will result into welfare. Otherwise, it is not always welfare. So if wealth increases, then welfare increases is true in the case of individual wealth, but it is not always true in the case of a nation's wealth, because this type of situation is very common in Indian economy. In Indian economy, we are seeing that despite of increase in population, our national income is also increasing day by day, because there is no relation between the national income and the population. The relation between national income and population is established in per capita income. But in national income in our country, despite of increasing in population, the national income is increases, but the equitable distribution of among all society, among all sections and among all sectors is not there. And that's why we are seeing that there are very few people who are enjoying a good standard of living, and they are having the highest welfare, while majority of the people are suffering from the poverty, unemployment and that kind of problems. And it is happens because of the unequal distribution of national income among all the sectors of the economy. Besides, a nation's welfare also depends upon social and cultural formation. Like, our social and cultural formation is very strong. We are basically focusing on casteism and on the different sections of the people on the basis of their creed and their religious, and not on the basis of equality. So our welfare depends upon social and cultural formation, where some of the sections of the society are very well rich because there will be the equitable distribution amongst them by their social and cultural formations, but some of the societies are very poor, and if we are giving benefit of this equitable distribution to them also, then also they are not able to equalize in all the necessary things. And that's why if the social and cultural formation is common amongst all the sections of the society, then the equitable distribution will not become difficult. But here the social and cultural formation is also play a very important role, and hence there is not always a direct relationship between wealth and welfare in society. So here we can conclude that there is always direct relationship between wealth and welfare in an individual case, but not in the case of a society, because it may not happen that the increase in national income will always result in the welfare of the society. So here with this particular point we are concluding point number second over here, in which we discuss about the wealth and welfare. First of all, meaning and characteristics of wealth, in which we discussed 5 characteristics. Then from today itself we discussed about the types of wealth, in which there is 2 types, that is individual wealth and societal wealth. Second one is a national wealth and international wealth. Then the concept of welfare, where the enhancement of life situation, standard of living and overall state of improvement is called as a wealth. And then we discussed important elements and meaning and concepts of wealth. And lastly we discuss about the relationship between wealth and welfare. From next lecture onwards we are going to discuss about the factors of production. Till then, thank you very much class, and as I have suggested you that please write all these questions once, so that you will be able to understand it very clearly, and the writing practice will be resulted into a good marks in your examinations also. Thank you very much class.